Patrick Mahomes is on pace to play Saturday against the Texans. Has DBU been activated in Kansas City? Our predictions for Saturday's matchup against the Houston Texans. All of this next on Chiefin.
Welcome, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for tuning in to this Red Kingdom Media production, bringing you raw, authentic Chiefs coverage. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on your team. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Welcome to another episode of Chiefin. I'm your host,
Dale Fowler, along with my partner, Lonnie.
Let's just see that. Let's hope the Chiefs come back and show that their regular selves.
Facts. Go Chiefs.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Chiefin. I'm your host today, Lonnie, also known as Lano, along with my partner, Mr. Dale Fowler, also known as Daily Dale. We kind of switching things up around the Chiefs Kingdom. We got some shuffling at the line. Hopefully it's no shuffling at this quarterback position. But with that being said, let us go ahead and get into our first topic. Iron Man Mahomes. Mahomes suffered an ankle injury in the win against the Browns on Sunday. He has been a full participant in this week's practice and is expected to play Saturday. Is it too early for Mahomes to return, or is it important that he plays the next 2 weeks, at least to ensure we secure the number 1 seed?
Well, Lonnie, I do think it is very important that Patrick Mahomes plays these next 2 weeks. The reason why, if we are able to secure a win in both of those games, the last week of the season, that he'll be sitting out, and then also he's not going to be playing on Wild Card Weekend as well too. And he mentioned in his press conference as well that he wants to be out there if he's able to be out there, and he has been a full participant in practice this week as well too. So I do think he made it a priority that he needs to go into this game prepared to go. We know that the offensive line has been questionable, and he has been being under pressure, under a lot of pressure at times. But at the same time, we know when Patrick Mahomes is out on the field, that's when the Chiefs are a better team than pretty much the entire league after that. So I do think he wants to come into this particular game, this particular matchup, and wants to come in and try to insert some type of dominance, and also assert some type of fire into this offense as well too, because this is the unit that we're going to have to go ahead and rock with when we get into the postseason as well. And it's very important with Hollywood Brown potentially coming back in this game and also playing in the Pittsburgh Steelers game as well too on Christmas Day. So with them needing to kind of get back on point with one another, getting that connection back together that they were having in the off season going through training camp, I think that he wants to be out there so he can be able to be a part of that growth that the offense is going to be experiencing, and they're going to be needing that in those moments within these games going against two playoff teams as well. So I do think it's very important that Patrick Mahomes is out there on on Saturday, which is going to be an early Saturday game, to secure a dub and, of course, stay ahead of the race from those other teams trying to secure the number 1 seed in the AFC. And they still have a 2 to 3 game league above everyone else. But of course, we know that we want to go out there and be able to at least not have to play in week 18, and also know for sure that we're not playing on wild card weekend as well too. And with the injuries that we dealt with this season, and with what we've been having going on with the unluck that has been presented to the Kansas City Chiefs, I do think it's more important for us to secure that number 1 seed. That way, what people are complaining about with getting Mahomes rest, he will get that rest plus more in preparation of being prepared for the postseason and starting in that divisional round if we are able to get that number 1 seed after that.
I mean, I think you said it best. I don't disagree with you whatsoever when it comes to just as far as if Mahomes should play or not. I think you said it. You laid it down pretty good there. They'll play at least probably 1 game in 45 days. This will be a training camp-esque break if Mahomes is able to secure the number 1 seed. So, I mean, I think with the magnitude of the game, and the game being what it is and what it's meaning to the Chiefs going forward and for seeding, I think this is a must play for Mahomes. So I do think it's important that he does play, and I think it's important that he probably plays these next 2 games coming down the stretch here, being that we lost to Buffalo. If you take care of business in Buffalo, you don't have to worry about playing here. You probably don't come in here with the bummed ankle, and if you did have a bum ankle, you probably are able to sit. But you play around in Buffalo, play with your food, and lose. So you're playing and all the way almost until week 18, which you shouldn't be. So I think it's kind of crazy that we're sitting here and talking about a 13-1 team having to still play until almost week 18. But nevertheless, that's the position that the Chiefs have found themselves in, being that they don't have such a very good offensive line and they've lost a lot of offensive weapons. However, I think that, like I said, like you were saying, it's imperative that the Chiefs get this number 1 seed. Just because they really, really, really need that break, not only for Mahomes, but for his offensive line, to help those guys kind of get back healthy, kind of try and find some answers on those corners, with the left tackle position in particular, because we know Joe Tooney is not going to be able to be the long-term answer. We really need his help on the inside of the interior line. So I think it's very, very important that Mahomes plays. Not only do I think it's important that he plays, I think he does play. And I think it's like almost legacy dependent that Mahomes plays. But any extra thoughts on if Mahomes plays or not?
Uh, I mean, you put it out there, bro. I think we're all on the same page when it comes to it. It's just more so like when we say it's crazy that we're talking about a 13-1 team having to play to this point. I, when you look at it like that, they probably were going to have to play up into the last week with Buffalo on their backs, however it goes. But like you said, it might be one less week to where, okay, we really just need to get this last win, because even if we have the same record as them, we do have that head-to-head matchup. But when looking at it and not trying to be that Homer-esque type person or someone who is just too optimistic, I felt like when they went into Buffalo, even though every game they're trying to win, I think they were prepared for losing that game, because Buffalo, regardless of what it is, we get the up on them on a postseason. But when it comes into the regular season and the matchups that we have with each other anyway, it's always a 1 to 2 score game, and anything can happen at any moment. So I think they had it in the back of their minds, like, hey, if we do lose this game, we are prepared to at least take it this far. We just didn't think the offensive line would be as bad or be dealing with what they're dealing with right now, to where Mahomes is once again banged up and he's going to be fighting through an ankle injury going through the rest of the season, the postseason.
And before we move on, we want you to go ahead and make sure that you follow us on all our social media platforms at Ran Kingdom Media. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to all our old videos at Ran Kingdom Media on all social media platforms at Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. Also, make sure to find a link in the description to the Home of the Chiefs podcast with Shannon and Clan. Make sure to sign up where they interview Chiefs fans like yourselves, and get your stories about how you became Chiefs fans and your Chiefs fandom. Also, make sure to tap in with our Substack. Dale and Rod release a pregame and postgame article on Monday, and also release articles Monday through Friday with different Chiefs content and things about the game. Also, make sure to tap in with me, Clinton, or Dale, and get you a shirt as well. Place your order for a Red Kingdom Media shirt. Neither one of us are sporting our shirt right now, but you can place an order for one of those through us, and we'll get that out to you.
Mahomes get an injured ankle. That's for sure a Super Bowl that's going on right there. And the record when it knows when he's out there, he's perfect. He's
Exactly.
perfect.
Exactly.
He's perfect.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And speaking of perfect, you know who else is perfect?
Who?
Actually, in their Super Bowl appearances,
What?
some of the defensive backs, and that's going to go right into our next topic. Activated. DB's activated. The secondary last week put on a show against the Cleveland Browns, totaling 4 of the 6 turnovers. Can this group carry it into Saturday and have the same impact in this matchup?
They can carry it over to Saturday. I mean, I don't know if it's going to carry it over to Saturday, but they had the potential to carry it over to Saturday. I mean, they are still without Stephon Diggs. I think Nico Collins is back, and they got Tank Dell and some other guys out there as well, too. But they also got that man behind in the backfield and Joe Mixon, where every matchup and every game we play against him, he always give us a run for the money. But that's not, that's in the run game. But he's a good passing back as well, too, coming out the backfield. But I do think it can carry over. We really didn't see too much. I don't even think we seen Steven Nelson on Sunday against the Cleveland Browns, and they just had Joshua Williams out there and also Najee Johnson, and they didn't look bad. Now, I will say it is the Browns though. Like, I will put it out there. I'm not going to be the one who just, oh, they did great. It was awesome. They just did the most. They definitely stepped up from before. But Jerry Judy, I mean, he's still a good weapon. They got Elijah Moore as well too. They have some guys that they can connect with, but they did a good job in containing that. Jerry Judy had over 100 yards receiving, but he didn't get into the end zone as well. They only had one rushing touchdown. So overall, that performance that they had, I feel like it can carry over into Saturday's game against the Texans. Now, with that, I think it's just going to be having to understand their assignments and follow the responsibilities they have when going into that certain position. Lonnie, you mentioned this before and plenty of times, and then when talking on the post games and even in our past shows as well too, we see a lot of Nazi Johnson, throwing up the X, or he just calling out to people and everything like that, and not knowing what he needs to do, and not understanding his assignment. When we had Joshua Williams out there, we might get a little hold in the air. We might, have a penalty that's coming about, but overall, he is actually on top of his guy, and he's not really giving as much separation, and they have to fight for it. And we saw that a couple times when he took over in that game a couple of weeks ago as well too, where he wasn't really being attacked like that. Really, not too much was going on in the secondary. So I do think this is something that can carry over into this game. And then our guy Trent McDuffie, he got his first interception, of his career, and that's been my guy as well too. That's been someone that I have praised on in the secondary and loved, and that's another check mark that he got off the box as well too. My favorite DB. So I think feeding off of that, playing against a team that of course is inferior to you, that's not that great, you can build confidence and work from that and be able to carry it over into these next couple of games, because we're not going to be going against really we're not going to be going against some weak wide receivers, even though they might not be top of the league within their groups, but they still can make some things happen on that offensive side of the ball. And when you got someone like CJ Stroud, who is a master of, of course, a master of, doing better within his game. He's a student of the game as well too, and who is always looking to improve. And he has that great build of confidence and also leadership as well. When you bring that onto this field coming into Arrowhead on Saturday, he's going to be working off, of course, his head coach, D'Amico Ryans. They also clinched another AFC South championship as well too, and they're looking to have better seeding going into the playoffs and try to put them in position to try to get into the Super Bowl. So I think they have to be on the lookout for that. It's not going to be an easy game for them on the defensive side of the ball, but we're seeing our pass rush do a lot better and be able to get home in that last game with Jameis Winston. That's going to help out a lot when they're attacking CJ Stroud as well too, because their offensive line is not as great. So if we can feed off of getting there, get him out of the pocket, not making him feel as comfortable as well too. We know Spags, he plays great against these young quarterbacks, and he understands how to fluster them and make them make the mistakes that of course will benefit us. And typically in these type of games, a lot of people think that the Chiefs is going to go out there and kind of blow it, but we end up showing them and proving them wrong. Like, hey, it don't matter what it is, we play down to our opponent, but we can play up too when we feel like it. And I think this is one of the games where you need to feel like it, because if you're trying to secure that number one seed, it's going to be imperative that you go out there on Sunday and you not let them give up a lot of big plays. But shout out to the guys, Jaden Hicks. Nick Bowden got him an interception as well too, and also Trent McDuffie getting those interceptions on Jameis Winston and Dorian Thompson last week.
Yeah, so I want the Chiefs to carry it over into the next game to the tune of 6 picks. I'm not sure if it carries over like that. Due to they just played the Oprah Winfrey of picks of Mr. Jameis Winston, and I think it showed. He was giving them out to everybody. I think if me, Dale, or Clinton probably would have dressed out, we probably would have got an interception too. He likes to actually give those away. That's actually, I think, is a plus stat for Jameis. It may be an incentive in his contract the way he turns the ball over to the opposite team. However, I don't know if the DBs carry that over into this game to the tune of 6 picks, but I do think they get some turnovers, and I do think that allowed them to get a lot of confidence. Even letting Nazi Johnson get his hand on a ball here late in that game. So I think it does a ton for the confidence of the DBs, just seeing them get balls. Trent McDuffie getting his first interception, them getting a lot of work in that secondary, Jerry Judy was eating a little bit early there on against Joshua Williams, but that eventually calmed down. I think it's going to help them a ton going into this next game, seeing somebody to the likes of Nico Collins. We know Stephon Diggs is hurt, but they still have some guys that are able to make some plays over there. They still have Mechie, some guys that can stretch the field, Tank Dell. So some guys that are really still speedsters and able to really just to take the top off the defense. So I think the Chiefs got some good work here last week, just as far as the secondary goes. And as far as creating turnovers, I think they're hot, and I think turnovers come in bunches, just like Steve Spagnuolo said. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to get one or two turnovers off of Mr. C.J. Stroud. Also, he has a lackluster offensive line. Not only are the Chiefs near the bottom of the NFL in offensive line play, but the Texans are as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they dial up the pass rush, get some guys in from the secondary, send some different blitzes, and just really get some things going inside of that defense for Spagnuolo. He likes to dial things up, and I know he really wants to get his DBs going down the stretch here. And if he sees some inferior opponents or some guys that may just be a little bit lesser than the Chiefs, I think he wants to take the opportunity to have his DBs beat up on those guys. I mean, kind of get some work in. So, and I think he's seeing that this is possibly an opportunity for that. I know the Texans came in with the wide receiver core that was near the top of the league with Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins until both of those guys went out with an injury at some point in this year, and then Stephon Diggs later in the year going out for the rest of the year. So I like what I've seen from the Chiefs. I'm not sure if they carry it over to the tune of 6 picks, but I do think they create some turnovers, find a way to get in there and do some things to disrupt this game and make us come out on a good side of victory, hopefully. But any other thoughts on what you if you think the Chiefs will carry over their turnover?
I mean, you made a good point, but you made a good point. Spag said that those turnovers will come in bunches, and they definitely did last game. And I think with them, almost being there throughout the season and just really playing good ball and getting out of, getting out of the certain moments, with at times what we could be considering luck. I think now they're at the pace where they smell blood in the water, like our old guy, Frank Clark would like to say. And when you have that sense of blood, you have that sense of, okay, we can get takeaways. I think that's going to motivate them to the point to where in these games now they are starting to understand their assignments. Let me go ahead and play the ball a little bit more. Let me not just go ahead and put my hand out there. Let me see if like what Trent McDuffie did. He looked at the screen and went for the pick. Let's start playing the ball. Let's start going in and trying to flip the momentum for us. Put in our favor to where our offense can feed off of that, because they need that. And we see that at times it's hard for them to get to the other side of the ball. Well, they had difficulty in this last game, but we need to start. They got to start completing it, right? They got to start completing the turnover differential where we're getting it back. We got to put points on after that. So if we put them in position to where they can capitalize, and of course you're doing it for your purpose as well too, or handling your job, I think overall it's going to make the team better. So with these turnovers coming in bunches, like you said, hopefully. We're not saying that it's going to be 6 picks, because C.J. Stroud is a better quarterback than Jameis Winston and then Dorian Thompson. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we can't turn over the ball at all. That don't mean that we're not going to press you and get you back there and get you flustered, and then you just throw up a duck in that moment. We are able to pick that off. Also, we got Charles Minihue back as well too, who's big on the strip sack. He's got that chop that you seen and starting to become legendary in Kansas City. So it's ways to get the turnovers. And I think with the secondary being able to feed off of that, they both work hand in hand. With the pass rush being phenomenal last week, it showed that our secondary can play a lot better. And then at moments they gave them some time to where they can get coverage sacks as well too. So when you're feeding in that moment, and you're starting to kind of understand one another, and it's becoming the yin and yang, it's going to be looking a lot better for Kansas City these next couple of weeks if they can keep it going.
Oh, for sure, and we're not predicting what's going on or what may happen as far as turnovers, but we are going to move into our next topic, which is our score prediction, which is what is your score predictions for this game coming up against the Texans, and who will be a standout on offense and defense for the Chiefs?
So my score prediction for this game, I got the Chiefs winning, and I got it going 24-20. 24-20. The Texas is a good team. Of course, I think they're going to have their moments on the offensive side of the ball where they're going to be able to score on us. But I do think that the defense is going to be able to hold their own, especially playing with a playoff caliber team to where it's not going to be as simple as playing the Browns and you're holding them to 7 points, you're holding them to 10 or 13. I think you're going to have your times to where it might be some miscommunications on that side of the ball and they give up, something to Tank Dell over the top, or Joe Mixon, of course, is just crushing in the rush game. And, once he gets to the other side of the field, he makes the plays that he can make, being coming out the backfield for the receiving game or just getting the handoff and being able to, to take it for six or just get them in that position to, get on the goal line and just push it in as well too. So 24-20 I got for my score prediction, but the Chiefs are going to get away with that. On the offensive side of the ball, who I'm going to have stand out. Let me think. It's too early to say Hollywood Brown. He's not going to just come in and do that if he does play. That's just ignorant to say. Now, he might surprise us with something. He might do that. But Andy Reid, show people that you're not, how can I say this? you're you're not hard-headed. Run the ball. Isaiah Pacheco. Needs to be an Isaiah Pacheco show. He said he feel like himself. A couple weeks ago, we seen that they got away with the run game in each game, but they really haven't. They have been having a balance with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. Last week they were 13-13. I want to see him get more of the workload, because with his explosiveness and what he provides to the offense, he can flip the field very quickly for us, and I think he can do that for us in this game because with the Houston pass rush, they do get to the quarterback very quickly and they do get sacks and they get home. They get home. Uh, with DJ Humphreys not practicing Wednesday, it's a potential that we might have the same offensive line that's going into this game with Tooney more than likely going to stay at the left tackle. Now, we did get more time in the pocket and was able to do more down the field, but I do think with you knowing that you have this offensive line that regardless of you getting your best guy out there to the left and then the guard position, they're not as bad, they're not giving as much, but you did lack within that run game. It's time to do some quick passes. Let's not try to get some plays that's gonna, of course, it has to develop within a 7-step drop. Okay, let's get three-step drop, get it out quick, get it to Xavier Worthy. Hopkins on the screen, get it to Travis Kelce, get it to our backs out the backfield. Let's start killing them and running them down. Let's not always go for the home run ball. So I do think it's going to be important that we do stay within the short passing game and also running the ball a lot. And I want Isaiah Pacheco to heavily be involved with that. So I'm going to have him as my standout, and we're not going to fade away Kareem Hunt, but it's going to more so how you dealt with Nick Chubb. This has been our guy. You're getting older in age. You don't have that same explosiveness. He's going to be the one that pushes over there. But in short yardage situation, Kareem Hunt, that's when you come in, you do what you have to do. You get us our first down, and you keep the chains moving, and we keep on going down the field. But Isaiah Pacheco, I think it heavily needs to evolve him for us to be successful on the offensive side of the ball. And in each game before he got out, the two games, it always started with him getting that tough first down for us, keeping the chains moving, and then we were able to, of course, develop and go off the play action, get the ball downfield, and then, of course, put some points on the board. On the defensive side of the ball, who I feel is going to need to stand out is Chris Jones. George Karlaftis, he had his multi-sack game last week. Charles Minihue, he has been, of course, showing his flashes coming back from injury as well, and it has been benefiting him a little bit more within his pass rush. But I think Chris Jones is going to be a major factor for stopping CJ Stroud and that offense. And of course, what he has been able to do in the run game, he doesn't get a lot of credit for that, but he has been the reason why we have been top in the league with our run defense. I think with him, of course, being a team player at that point and being able to do the dirty work that's not being knowledgeable, I think this is a game for him to step out, which is going to be in a playoff atmosphere because at the end of the day, it's for seeding purposes. They're not worried about getting over to us because I believe they already got 5 losses, we not going to be at that point now. So we're going to be over them still, but it's going to help. But they're going to be playing their hearts out to try to move up to 2 or whatever it is. They're still trying to win. So we got to be aware of that. In this game, Chris Jones going to have to get after the quarterback. He's going to have to. This offensive line is horrendous. They are not as good as us. They dealt with injuries as well too. I think Larry McTussle was not out there. I think he has a season-ending injury. So we have the advantage on that side of the ball as well too, with our defensive line to be able to attack CJ Stroud. So Chris Jones, he is my standout, and I do think if he's able to get a multi-sack game, of course we're going to get our sacks in bunches as well too. Y'all going to be able to go to McDonald's on a Sunday instead of Monday. Go get y'all Big Macs, and you make sure y'all put it in on the McDonald's app. McDonald's, you probably need to go ahead and give us a sponsorship, because I shouldn't be doing this right now. But still, sacks, Big Mac sacks. Chris Jones, he has to do it for us. CEO of Sack Nation. You got paid big money this offseason. Prove to us in these moments. That's why we paid you.
Yeah, and I'm with you all the way when it comes to that. He definitely needs to come through, especially if you've been paid. You want the big money, you set up in there with the Kratz Bros, begging for big money, come through. You got the big money. You need to come through. It's your job. However, I do think the Chiefs do still get a win against the Texans. I think the Chiefs win 27-24. I think they win in a close one. I know people are going to say, yeah, the Chiefs got out again by the hair on the chinny chin chin. Yes, we did. That's been every win this year, but that's the moxie of a good team, and the resilience of a good team, and they just show you all the different ways that they're able to win. I want to start with defense. On the defensive side of the ball, I think we're agreeing the same, just as far as the defensive line. But I'm going to go with a different play. I'm going to go with Charles Omenihu. I think Charles Omenihu gets 2 sacks here. Charles Omenihu has really been coming on as of late. Just talking about, he really looked good in the Browns game. He also looked good in the most recent game that we played. Last game we was at the Raiders. The Raiders, and O'Connell was just here. So, and the Chargers also as well. So I think Charles Omenihu has just been looking good ever since he really came back. The last 2 games, really looked good against the Browns. That signature chop came out that he had in the AFC Championship against Lamar Jackson. He had the same chop against Jameis Winston. I love to see it, because that's a turnover causing play. Chris Jones is great, but that's just not something that he's always done when he's gotten home. He gets home and he gets sacks, but not necessarily always going for the ball. So I love seeing that from Charles Omenihu. It's reminiscent of a lot of what I see from clips that I've seen of Derek Thomas. I didn't get to watch Derek Thomas myself, but I love what I see from Charles Omenihu, and just as far as that play. And I think Charles Omenihu finds a ways to get 2 sacks on CJ Stroud. Being like you said, that offensive line is beat up, and beat up pretty bad. I know they were really taking a lot of pressure up the middle, which is never good for your quarterback. So I think that Charles Omenihu gets him 2 sacks, and probably a strip sack here. And the Chiefs play a ball out on defense, to say the least. And on offense, you were scared to go with them, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with them. I'm going with Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown ain't played all year. And I think he knows he hasn't played all year. He signed a 1-year deal. He came here to come win the Super Bowl. And I think this is his one chance to go capture that. He didn't think he was going to be able to play it all this season. This man has made it back miraculously from that gruesome shoulder injury that he had on the first play of preseason. It's been a plethora of unfortunate events for Hollywood Brown as a Chief. I really feel for him. I hope we get another go round with him. But I think Hollywood Brown has a day here. I think he finds a way to get into the end zone. I think the Chiefs use him in the red zone just so he can get that feeling of Arrowhead Stadium, and really get that red blood pumping through his veins. Really feel what Chiefs Kingdom is like. Feel the roar of that crowd. And I think he gets him a couple catches here. I think he might catch a couple deep bombs where Mahomes and Worthy were not able to connect. I think we may see the instant connection with Hollywood Brown and Mahomes. I think they worked a lot together this offseason. I think we're going to see the payoff of that coming into this next game. So I think the Chiefs find a way to get a win here. 27-24. I think the Chiefs get a win. I think Charles Omenihu stands out on defense, and gets him 2 sacks and a strip sack. And I think my man, Mr. Hollywood Brown, premieres in his first game in a Chiefs jersey, which is going to make the world and social media break and go crazy. And I think he also finds the end zone, which will also break social media again, and whatever TV program will be on Saturday, which is Peacock. So any other thoughts on the Chiefs and what they do to get the win on Saturday?
Last home game of the season. So they got to go at it with a bang. And then this could be our this can be our first season where we go undefeated in Arrowhead Stadium, I believe, since 2003, something like that. So I do think this is a big one. We got something to play for. I do feel like they're gonna come out and want to go ahead and put themselves ahead of the curve. And why not do it where you at home? Only the world is watching you. You're gonna be on Peacock and NBC. It's gonna be a good one. So I can't wait. I do think it's gonna be one for one we can talk about later on where we might be excited with regardless of the score. We might see some fight, and it's going to. I feel like it's going to look very uplifting for us going into the postseason, and we have a little bit of confidence that we can work off of.
Yeah. You know what else we're gonna be able to look back on?
What is that?
This episode, because I hosted it. That's why. With that being said, y'all, that's it. That's all that we have on today's episode of Chiefin. I'm Lonnie. That's my partner Dale, and as always, go Chiefs.
Thanks for checking out this update straight from the heart of Chiefs Kingdom. We appreciate your passion, so please leave a like and follow us wherever you tune in from. See you next tailgate, your trusted source for all things Chiefs, Red Kingdom Media.